Underage drinker pays protesters to bully luxury Upper East Side hotel. Workers file suit. They banned him because he was underage. But what difference does that make to someone who was born with a silver spoon in their mouth? You didn't expect them to handle rejection well, did you? What the fuck is up, internet? I'm that dude Swainzilla, aka old guy with too much time on his hands. And this is Crazy Ass News. Today we bring you the epic saga of a boy who couldn't handle being denied booze, and instead of just accepting that he was underage and unable to drink, he decided to throw a whole ass tantrum. Theodore Weintraub, who we're just going to call Weenie for this story, was denied alcohol at the Mark Hotel on the Upper East Side in New York City for being underage. And he retaliated just like you'd expect a spoiled rich teenager would.
You know who my father is?
Old Weenie started paying protesters to chant false and defamatory allegations against the hotel, including denying the Holocaust and supporting Jeffrey Epstein. Bro, it's like this little fucker Googled the meanest shit you can say about someone. The hotel filed a defamation suit against Weenie in July. He probably crossed the line once the protesters started chanting that the place had mice. Workers at the hotel reported seeing old Weenie watching the paid protesters from a parked Cadillac across the street, just thoroughly enjoying the circus he created. That money got him not giving a single fuck about consequences. Apparently the protesters are being paid $25 an hour and just yell random shit for hours on end. I don't know, getting someone to yell whatever you want for an hour in public for $25? That actually sounds kind of cheap. In case you didn't know, the Mark is a 5-star haven for celebrities like Angelina Jolie and guest of the Met Gala. But old Weenie doesn't care about any of that, not while he's on his noble quest for justice.
And I will have my vengeance, in this life or the next.
Weenie got banned from the hotel in 2019 for trying to buy drinks with a fake ID, and then became increasingly aggressive with the staff. Accusing them of being anti-Semitic and claiming they spit in the food. He came back on a separate occasion with his father, a well-known doctor who wasn't named in the article, by the way, who was informed of the ban. I'm sure Daddy was proud of his son's mature behavior. Can't imagine where he must have gotten it from.
Wait, oh no.
Weenie avoided the hotel for 2 years, then randomly reappeared with his protesters. This fucking brat was planning and plotting for 2 years, and this is what he came up with. The protesters demanded that Weenie be allowed back in the bar. Yeah, because why wouldn't they want him around after all this? The NYPD can't stop the protesters because, as it turns out, the group is too small and they don't have any sound amplification devices. Apparently, you can just yell random stuff, random crazy stuff at a business's customers all day long as you're not using a blowhorn to do it.
Of course, it makes perfect sense now.
When reached for comment, Weenie's father claimed to be unaware of the lawsuit and promised to address his son's behavior. Sure, I bet he fixes his kid's attitude problem in no time. I don't know though, but I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What would you hire people to protest for you? Me? Video game lag. Honestly, it's the only real complaint I have. Dude, we have to do something about the internet. I don't understand how the internet works. If I plug a light into a socket, that light just stays on. But the internet, it like jukes and jives, and it depends on where you're at, what kind of wiring you're like. Dude, give me a straight shot. Give me a straight shot of the internet to my fucking Xbox. Because when I lag out, bro, I mean, I'd pay $25 an hour for like 5 people to go to where I'd have to do some research and find out where the fuck we go to where the internet's main offices are. And we'd protest that shit for a good solid hour.
That's good enough for me.
Where do people get this sense of entitlement from, right? Like, I live in a big college town, so I like a lot of people complain about the students being like just assholes and ignorant. But then they have these weekends where the parents come into town and everybody gets the the luxury of serving these just entitled like pieces like dude. Some of you want like dude, it's unbearable. Like the way people just like there's a subreddit on Reddit called The Main Character, and that's the vibe these people give off. It's like, dude, it's their world, and we're just lucky enough to live in it.
It's all about me!
How would you handle it if people just showed up your job and protested like this? Like every time a customer came in, they just screamed some shit at them, like, yo, don't go in there, those motherfuckers are pedos, or whatever. Like they were saying these people were pedophiles. They were called them, they said there was mice in the food. Like, how would you handle it? Like I feel like there's probably a bigger chance of like the customers actually lashing out, because I feel like depending, like if it was my place, and these guys were protesting, I don't know if I'd not, like if they're on my property, I feel like I'd swing on them, dude. Especially if they started saying some crazy shit like I was a Holocaust denier, or I hung out with I was a supporter of Epstein. Like what the fuck? I might have to swing on a motherfucker for that. But I feel like it probably didn't. In the story, they said that there was a couple scraps between these protesters and customers, which makes more sense because the customers aren't afraid of losing their jobs.
You ain't gonna do shit.
What do you think about this whole crazy ass story? For me, like, I'm not surprised, right? Like, this kid's coming into a hotel. Who knows how long he's been coming to this hotel? He was having dinner with his dad, so he probably got introduced to the place from his dad, got a fake ID, and just assumed that because they knew him and saw him with his dad and that he was upper class, that he'd just be able to live. Like, they just let him live and serve him and shit. And then he got salty. And, I mean, these, especially like second generation rich people, I think that's the bigger problem. Like, if it's like a family of wealth, by the time, you know what I mean, most of these really rich kids are kind of used to it, right? It's like kind of handed down in the right way, I guess. But if it's like somebody who gets rich and then they have kids and they just can't help themselves because they were raised, you know, probably middle class or less, and they get a chance to spoil the fuck out of this kid, and they just go overboard. But I don't think it's just a money thing, because I mean, we all have had a relative or felt like a relative was treated differently and spoiled and stuff, and it didn't have anything to do with money. So I don't know where it comes from, but yeah, I hope they fucking sue the shit out of this kid. I hope they get a shit ton of money, and I would like to find out who the fucking dad is, and hopefully he gets canceled or something. Like, these people we have to make an example of these entitled people. Like, bro, knock it off. You're no better than the rest of us.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Well, there you go, folks. The epitome of teenage rebellion and a shining example of using your wealth to make a meaningful impact on society. Anyway, that's all I got for now. I'll catch you on the next one. Later.